This video is brought to you by Lunacy Audio. Ever wish you had a 3D space for morphing between different samples? Cube allows you to decide how multiple sounds interact with each other by moving an orbit around each corner to create something completely different. Choose from over 50 orbit motion paths or create your own. For a limited time, you can explore everything Cube has to offer, including the Everything Bundle, which includes all 3 expansion packs and even more presets for 40% off. Don't miss out on this chance to get your hands on some award-winning sounds that will take your music making to the next level. Hey guys, my name is JAde, and in this video we're going to be looking at the Desmodus Versio, which is a stereo in, stereo out synthetic tail generator reverb. That's a mouthful. So if you're looking for a basic reverb, this is definitely not it. But this reverb has become one of my favorite Eurorack effect modules. Not only is it 10 HP, which is a decent size so you don't feel everything is so crammed in, but it's actually part of the Versio family. And if you don't know what this means, it's pretty much that this is a DSP platform module. What that means is that you can switch out the firmwares. So right now I have the Desmodus Versio here and the Mellotus Versio, which is a delay. But if you just have this one, you can turn this one into the Mellotus. You can turn the Desmodus into the Ampla, which is the ADSR. They also have another really cool one that I'm using another Mellotus for that I'm running my bitbox through that is kind of like an EQ. So if you get tired of how this reverb sounds and you want to turn it into something else, all you have to do is plug it into your computer. It's super simple and just switch out the firmware. Like, how cool is that? I'm really obsessed with the whole like Versio line. So I have a few Versios in my case, but the Desmodus is my favorite and you're about to see why. So let's talk about the patch. We have a very simple patch going on right now. I have my Yamaha montage over here off screen that is going into the injector board brain. That out is going straight into the Desmodus in mono, but it is a stereo module. So we have stereo out going into the Mordex data so we can see what's going on, out of the data into our Cosmic Mixer. So lately I've been using my montage with my modular more because that is like a giant sound library. I can get any sound that I want out of that thing, and I really love Asian sounds. And even though I have rings on here, like, it's just so convenient having to just use this one cable to hit all of my sounds. I have track 1, I have a track 2, I have a piano, and then on track 3 I have another ethnic pluck. So let's start off with our track 1. Right now we're completely dry, so you can't hear what the Desmodus is doing. Let's make a sequence real quick so we can get something going on here. Slow that down a bit. Tempo at 80. Alright, so I'm going to start by turning up the blend, which is kind of like my dry and wet. So already at 50%. Look how beautiful that sounds, or hear how beautiful that sounds. I love modules where you don't have to tweak much to get a sound difference. Like, I really like my Magneto, but it does take some getting used to, especially at first. Like, you can be doing a lot of knob moving and not a lot happens. With the Desmodus, it's like you just twist one knob and it's like, oh my gosh, this sounds gorgeous. So right now we kind of had everything around 12 o'clock-ish. Let's turn all our knobs all the way left except our blend at 50, and then we can start tweaking, and I'm just gonna let you guys listen to this loop and see how beautiful this module can get. What I was doing over here, like trying to do this while messing with the montage at the same time, I actually switched my track 2 from a piano to a bass. So now we have a bass sound over here. So let's add that to our sequence, and then you can see like sometimes the notes get stuck. So the endorphin ground control has a panic button. That's because of the MIDI that we're using. So if I hold this, then my note will be released. So I'm gonna make a bass line. I'm gonna flick some of these switches after we have our sequence going, send some CV into the CV inputs, and see what kind of crazy atmospheres we can get out of this thing. So first, let's go ahead and make a bass line. Let me see what's going on here so we can get creative. Another cool thing about the ground control is that it has a really cool special feature that I haven't seen in any other Eurorack sequencer module, which is the wait function. So if I press my tempo and record, it kind of gives me like a count-in. So that's pretty dope. So I know for sure I'm going to hit that first note. So crazy sounding module, guys. I really am obsessed with this module. Let's add some drums so we can get a vibe going here. So I'm gonna go clock out into the Metron, which I'm also absolutely loving. I have the Metron that is controlling the bitbox over here off screen. I'm gonna send the bitbox. Let's go ahead and send it into the other Versio that I was telling you guys about. I have the polydactyl firmware in this other Mellotooth that I have. So I'm gonna go out of that into the polydactyl and out of the polydactyl into my mixer. So we get that nice EQ coming out of these drums. You're gonna see how nice this sounds. Let's start off with the EQ all the way down so you guys can hear just like what craziness this does to these drums. Just how much oomph this adds to these drums. So let me go over here, make sure that I have something going on. Turn my volume down for a second. Press play. All right, everything is in sync. I'm going to load my memory. There we go. Boom. All right. Now if I turn this on. I'm going to turn off the CD for a second. Turn up my montage. Let's mix a little bit before we get started jamming, right? Let's mess with our sequence a bit. I haven't even talked about this button, the FSU. As you can see, it's labeled differently on all of the Versio modules, but they pretty much do different things with every firmware. For this one, it takes the sound and does something insane. So let me just show you what it does. I'm just gonna hold the button. It's kind of like a manual trigger for the feedback, or it's a trigger for something. I can't really say exactly what it is, but just listen, it's gorgeous. Let's turn down our drums for a second. Turn down the size. And now you know why they call it the bat reverb. With the wet knob all the way wet, we get these crazy bat sounding effects. Crazy like frequencies just from the Versio itself. So let's make a new sequence with some new sounds on the montage. I'm gonna pick my sounds real quick over here. Okay, so for channel 1, I picked this synth. Now you know why I love my montage for sounds. Like, yes, you can have sound modules, and it is a whole different experience twisting knobs, but just the immediacy of having the sounds from the montage being available to me just through this MIDI cable, gorgeous. I know that you can use the Bitbox Micro to multi-sample, so I might try that later on because this is definitely not a gigging thing. Like, the montage is huge. If I gig, I'm definitely not gonna gig with my giant montage and my modular. Yeah, that's not me, but I'm not really planning on going anywhere anytime soon, so this setup completely works for me. But I am gonna try the Bitbox multi-sampling soon to see, like, you know, how different it is, because it really does sound gorgeous on its own. I'm not sure if the Bitbox can make the montage sound as good as it sounds coming out of the outputs, but you know, it's a sacrifice that you have to make if you want to travel and do these type of things live. So we have this beautiful synth on our first track. I left the bass on our second track, and for our third track, I have this Latin flute. Cool, cool. So I don't have anything going on this project. We are at 16 steps. Let's just record random stuff, see what happens. I have that very slow. I'm gonna send a reset out of the ground control into the Metron so we get that perfect first beat on our drums. Here we go. If you didn't know, now you know. The Desmodus Versio bat reverb for a reason. Guys, this thing is not leaving my case anytime soon. I don't think ever. 10 HP. Like, I love modules that do so much in such a little space. Like I was saying, yes, I love my Magneto. And we're going to do a separate video about how to master the Magneto because it does take quite a bit to, like, love the Magneto. But once you get the Magneto sweet spot, like, this is a whole different beast. But this thing is huge. This thing is like 500 something bucks. These are going for like $330. You can maybe get them cheaper if you get them used. But totally worth it for the space, for the amount of sound capabilities and atmospheric things that we can do with this crazy thing. Not only that, but we can turn it into a mellotus. We can turn it into an imitor. We can turn it into a ampla or the polydactyl. You'll learn all the names as you go because every firmware turns your Desmodus into something completely different. But to be 100% with you guys, the Desmodus is my favorite. I have had the Desmodus longer than all of them, so I probably do need to like get more comfortable with the mellotus and the imitor. But this thing, guys, if you're thinking of getting it, you will not be disappointed. If you guys like my jam, don't forget to check out my music channel below. Also on Patreon, you get patch notes for my jams that I do on there, plus downloads to the track. So if you're into this, consider supporting a sister on Patreon or becoming a member of the channel. That's it for today, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.